What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, the Tell All Part 3. And y'all, I was so disappointed to find out at the end that there's going to be a Tell All Part 4 because this one really drained me. Ed and Liz and their nonsense, and then Submit and Jenny and their dullness. I was just like, oh my God, there's going to be a Part 4. But we still have to get into Yara and Jovi next week, so hopefully that's going to rejuvenate me. So when this episode begins, it starts off where everybody's hanging out at the bar. They're done rapping, or they're done recording for the day, and they've all gathered at the bar slash lounge slash restaurant that they all hang out at. And Ed was, talking crap about Liz. Andre and Jovi were trying to tell Ed that he needs to, kind of approach things a little bit differently with Liz. And so as he's talking about Liz, Big Ann just creeping up behind him, and I thought she was going to lay down the law on Ed like the way she does on Michael. But she talked to Ed with so much respect in a way that she had never talked to Michael before. So anyway, so she tells Ed, what you're doing is wrong. The way you're treating Liz is wrong. And Ed, he was like, he's always the victim, right? He says, well, she doesn't defend me. She doesn't support me. I want her to stand up for me like the way Libby stands up for Andre. But what Libby and Andre have is a real connection and a real marriage. So yeah, Libby's always going to go to bat for her husband. Ed and Liz, I don't know what that is. I mean, you can't even call it a relationship. The constant makeup to break up. Plus, why would Liz stand up and support Ed in anything under any circumstances when he's reaching out to his ex, when he's still on these dating apps, when he talks to her just talks to her, really treats her bad, talks to her bad, is constantly breaking up with her, throwing her out of his house. Why in the world would Liz want to support that and stand up for that? Anywho, so, and Andre, doesn't, anyways, moving on. So then the group tells Andre, so we switch from Ed to Andre. So the group now tells Andre that he needs to allow his wife to have a relationship with her family. And I forgot what Andre said. I think he was saying something about it's how the family comes to him, how they approach him. It's not really him attacking them. He's basically like defending himself against the family. But they tell him, allow your wife to have a relationship with her family, especially her brother. Andre did tell them that at the end of, right before Becca left, when they were done recording, when they were still on set, him and Becca had a conversation, and it was like, the start of something new. They had a decent civil conversation, so maybe things are going to be improving. So on day 2 of the reunion, everybody comes back, and of course are all wearing the same thing that they wore on day 1 for the sake of continuity. But it's like, okay, why do they have to wear the same thing if now, this season they're letting us know that the reunion was filmed over a span of, several days? Why do they have to wear the same thing when we know that, they would go home for the night and come back the next day? I didn't understand that. It made sense when maybe the audience thought that the reunion was filmed, in one continuous day. It made sense for them to wear the same thing. But now that we know that it was broken up over several days, I didn't understand that. And I hope they got their clothes dry cleaned, because they wore those clothes like all day and all night. So hopefully they got the clothes dry cleaned that they had to wear again the next day. So in the green room, everybody's gathered together in the green room. Ed says that he did apologize to Liz the night before. Kimberly calls him out for the apology being fake. So then Ed and Kim are going at it. They're going back and forth because, Ed is trying to still talk about how Liz threw him under the bus. Ed didn't let He never let Kim explain why she thought his apology was fake. We never got around to that. Ed still believes that Liz was not supporting him, but how can she support him when, he's just so bad to her. He's awful to her. Ed says that he cannot accept Liz for who she is. I have no idea what that means. What do you mean you can't accept her for who she is? Who the hell is she? And if you can't accept her for who she is, why are you constantly proposing to her? So then Liz shows up, because people were asking, where's Liz? And I was like, I don't know. But she did finally show up. So finally, they are on stage now. Okay, Kim and Usman. It's their segment. It's their time to shine. So they're not together, but they claim that they're still friends. Why Kim wants to hang on to this friendship with Usman is beyond me. This man embarrassed you, made a fool out of you, made you look like a damn clown. You're on TV Kim, you're on TV begging and pleading for this man to sleep with you. And so you're going to hang on to this friendship. That's just, oh, y'all, it is just, I don't know if Kim doesn't want to admit that she made a mistake in choosing this person for her partner. And so she's trying to salvage something to make it seem like, there was a reason why I chose him and it wasn't as bad as y'all think. I don't understand, because I could not be friends with someone after with the way that he treated Kim. There's just no way that I would want to be friends with him. But anyways, let's move on. So Usman says that the main thing that bothered him about Kim was that she was not able to give him a child, which he knew this as soon as Kim slid into his DMs. The first time she dipped into his DMs, he knew that this woman was of age, and of an age where she could no longer have children. But he still pursued a romantic relationship with her, still pursued to propose to her. But then you're going to complain about how, well, she wasn't able to give me a child, so that's the main reason why our relationship didn't work. It doesn't make any sense. Usman is just so delirious. I mean, is it delirious? He's delirious too, but he's just like not in touch with reality. And he really believes, I don't know if he thinks that he's so good looking that we're going to believe anything he says, or what the hell is going on. But the things that he says make no sense, and they're just so asinine. I cannot believe that he feels okay with saying the things that he says, because they're so stupid. And we'll get into all of that. So the engagement ended when Kim took off her ring. So Kim claims that she's the one that broke up with him. Obviously, he drove her to it. I've always said that Usman never wanted to be the one to break up with Kim. He always was going to push her to break up with him so that he doesn't look like the bad guy. So he doesn't look like the one who was always using her. So he was going to push her to the limit until she finally broke. So we saw that break when they were at the hotel, and they had this big argument, but the cameramen were not there to film the argument. But when the crew showed up, when the production crew showed up, and they were asking her what happened, and Kim had said that, she just got tired of him criticizing her, talking about her weight, talking about how she dressed, talking about her appearance, all this stuff. And she just got really sick and tired of it. She took off the ring and she walked out the door. So that was the technical breakup, I guess. But it was because this man drove her to it by criticizing her so horribly. So, and a whole bunch of other stuff could have happened too, but I don't remember. So then the cutie Jamal shows up. Her son Jamal shows up, and Jamal says that Usman psycho guilt tripped Kim into breaking up with him. And I totally agree with Jamal. He drove her to it. That was his whole plan. His whole intention for the majority of their relationship was pushing her to the limit, to the point where she would break up with him. So, he starts off with this whole, I need to have a second wife. She still stayed. My second wife is going to have my children. She still stayed. I have to marry the second wife before I marry you. She still stayed. I want to adopt my nephew. She still stayed. So he was always coming up with these ideas and these reasons and these excuses. And she kept on staying. And it just really wasn't working for him, right? Until he was like, you know what, she's an American woman, and I know that American women are very particular about their looks, and you never talk about an American woman's weight. And so when he told her, you need to get a tummy tuck and get rid of that gut, the ring came off. So Jamal's premonition, because he made a premonition at the previous reunion from last year where he said that Usman was going to break her heart and he was going to be there to pick up the pieces. And that's exactly what happened. Jamal's premonition came true 100% exactly 1 year later. Usman broke that woman's heart, and now her son is there to try to put the pieces back together. Jamal says, he guilted her into breaking up with him so that he didn't look like the bad guy. I agree with Jamal 1,000%. Usman, of course, denies it. He says that he did not push Kim to break up with him. She broke up with him on her own. Usman still insisted that it was because, she couldn't give him a child. Why do you keep talking about that, Usman? You knew this from day one. As I said, as soon as she dipped into your DMs, you knew that if you wanted to pursue anything with this woman, and first of all, Usman doesn't want a kid. Okay. Usman doesn't even want a child with Kim. That's number one. So for him to constantly say, oh, but she couldn't give me a child, you don't even want a kid with her. Even if she could produce a child, you still wouldn't want a kid with her. You're using that because it was the most impossible thing to happen. And that's why you're using that as an excuse of why you believe your relationship didn't work out. It's just all games, smoke and mirrors with Usman. I feel like I'm wasting everybody's time by even talking about this because it's just so stupid. Okay, so then Jamal says that Usman played my mom. Kim doesn't believe that she was played. She says, well, you weren't there. Nobody was there at 5 o'clock in the morning. We were in the bed together and listening to our most intimate conversations. Girl, we don't have to be there. We didn't have to be there. You got played, sweetheart. And the fact that you don't want to see it, okay, it's cool because you don't want to look like a damn fool because of all that you did for this man, all that you bought him, all the money that you gave him. And I know that she was giving him money that they didn't even talk about on the show. I know that this woman was giving her money and it was never mentioned on the show. Okay, because he had to have some type of an incentive to continue this charade with her. So she was like, well, y'all weren't there, at 5 o'clock in the morning when we're having our intimate conversations and knowing what we're talking about and what's in the, deepest parts of our hearts. Girl, we don't need to know. So everyone believes that she got played. Everybody on that stage totally believes that Kimberly got played. Usman says, but we slept together, as if to say, we were in love and I loved her because I slept with her. Usman is stupid. Like I said, does he think that we're going to believe these words that are coming out of his mouth because he thinks he's cute? Or what? I mean, it's stupid. So Usman, you've never heard of prostitution? You've never heard of prostitution? You've never heard of, come on, Usman. The fact that I'm even going to try to bring logic to his illogical statement, it's just, I can't believe I'm doing it. So his whole thing is, if we didn't love each other, if I didn't love her, I would never have slept with her. But did you forget, Usman, how much she had to beg? Did you forget how on camera, how much she had to beg and plead for you to give her the yammy? Did you forget that? If you loved her so much and it was so easy for you to do it, why did she have to beg for it? Anyways, so then Sean said, well, if we're going to follow your reasoning, your logic that you have to be in love with someone to sleep with them, then that means that you planned on falling in love with your second wife because you said that you were taking on a second wife for the purpose of having a child, and to have a child, you would have to sleep with her. So in other words, you're saying that you would have been falling in love with your second wife after you had told Kim that there would be no feelings involved, no emotions involved, that Kim was going to be your one and true love, your one and true wife. The second wife was just there for the purpose of having babies. So Sean, tripped him up in his own game. So he said, yeah. He was like, yeah, I would have to be in love with my second wife in order to sleep with her. That's what he said. He had to admit that. So then they showed a clip of Usman meeting his potential second wife, which was Farida. So they watched that whole entire segment and, it was what it was until he asked for Farida's phone number. So Kim didn't know about that. So Kim said on stage, well, I didn't know that you asked for her phone number. And then she starts crying. Okay. Then she starts crying. This man who loves you so much, okay, he's so deeply in love with you, and he told you that the second wife was just basically a machine to produce babies. So why is he asking for her number? So he asked for her number. Kim starts crying on stage. So the question was, did you ever reach out to Farida after that initial meeting? He didn't even answer that question. Usman never answered that question, which tells me, yeah, they were chopping it up on the phone. He did reach out to her, probably saying all kinds of sweet nothings to her. So then Usman continues to blame Kim for not being able to give him a child. So he keeps on bringing this throughout the whole entire segment. He keeps talking about how Kim couldn't give him a child, and so this relationship really couldn't go any further. So Jamal says, you could have been with any woman you wanted. Why did you have to choose my mom? And Usman says, well, I didn't break up with her. She broke up with me. You see, that's the whole point of him driving her to the breakup, so he can have a moment just like this where he can say, I didn't break up with her. I didn't want to leave her. She's the one that left me. But you drove her to it. So then they ask Kim, is there any chance of reconciliation? And Kim says no. I'll have to see it to believe it. I'll not only believe it if they never, ever, ever bring back Kim and Usman to my television screen. Moving on. So then they take a break. Everybody goes into the break room for lunch or whatever. So then Kim says, she goes, well, I don't care what anybody says. I believe Usman was in love with me. Okay. So Liz is still wearing Ed's ring because she feels like, oh, cause they asked her, Kim, why are you still, I mean, not Kim, Liz, why are you still wearing, or someone made a comment about her wearing the ring that she had given back to Ed. I guess Ed gave back to her. You see this whole thing of make up to break up. Here's the ring. I want it back. Give me my ring. Here's the ring again. Give it back to me. Here's the ring. Give it back to me. It's just stupid. So she's wearing the ring again, and somebody made a comment about it, and she says that she feels naked without it. So why don't you just go get a replacement ring? Go to the corner store and get your little fake ring if you feel naked without having a ring on that particular ring finger. Or is it that you want Ed's engagement ring back on your finger? Because y'all are, anyways. So Liz is still accusing Ed of being on the dating app and messaging Rose before he proposed. Ed denies it all. Liz gets frustrated. She gets up and she leaves and she goes into another room. Shaida follows her in there. Shaida starts giving her advice on how to make Ed treat her better. And I'm like, Shaida, no ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am. Shaida, no. Nobody should be encouraging Ed and Liz to reconcile, to get back together, trying to give them advice or ideas on how to treat each other better. Nobody should be encouraging the union of Ed and Liz. Ed and Liz need to go their separate ways. They're going to end up hurting each other really bad. They need to go their separate ways. Please do not encourage Liz, Shaida, to get back with Ed or trying to give her advice on how to deal with Ed. The only thing anybody should be telling Liz is, Liz, don't go back. Don't do this again. Leave him alone. He's not the one for you. He treats you like a damn dog. Don't do it. So Liz shows the receipts of Ed being on this app. So she comes back with her phone and she's trying to prove to the people that look, he was on this dating app and it was just as recent as 2 hours ago. Ed denies it. Ed says, well, you need to prove that it's me. Liz, nobody cares. Nobody cares if Ed was on this dating app or not. Nobody cares if Ed reached out to Rose or not. Nobody cares, because just based on how he treats you, that is enough for us to know that you don't need to be with this man. Just based on how he talks to you, how he treats you, how he looks at you. Based on that alone, that's enough reason for you to not be with him. It doesn't matter if he was on a dating app or not. If he wasn't on a dating app and if he didn't reach out to Rose, he still is treating you bad. Anywho. Moving on to Bilal and Shaida. So Bilal agreed to have a baby. Okay. Bilal agreed to finally have a baby with his wife, but now she's at that point where she didn't want to have a baby anymore. She wanted to postpone having a baby. And I'm like, girl, the doctor already told you that you're running out of time and your egg quality and your egg quantity is non-existent. So like, what the hell are you talking about that you want to postpone it? So I really didn't believe all of that. But anyways, that's what they said, that she wanted to postpone having a baby. And then they talked about how she says she wanted to focus on her business, but it was more to it than just that. She says that Bilal was on 100% open with her about making decisions and finances. She doesn't know how much money he makes. I don't understand how you can be married to someone and not know how much money they make. I don't get it. I don't understand how you can want to spend your life with someone, have a baby with someone, and he can't even tell you how much money he makes. And he's the main breadwinner, and you have no idea how much money he makes. So you're just going by the material things that he owns. You don't know if, all of this is like, if he put himself into a whole lot of debt to get these material things, you don't know if his income can actually support this lifestyle or not, but you're just going to go ahead and marry him. Okay. Bilal doesn't want to have a joint banking account. And that also blows my mind. He has to actually give her an allowance. He has to give this grown, educated, independent woman an allowance, and she's okay with that. Instead of her just swiping the card or getting whatever she wants out of the account, she has to sit back and wait for him to give her money like she's a 12-year-old child on allowance day. But if this is her reason for postponing wanting to have a baby, I'm confused, because these things were happening in the beginning of their relationship. So she wanted to have a baby then, when she still didn't know how much he made, when he still didn't give her access to the account, still didn't have a joint account. but she still wanted to have a baby then. So why all of a sudden now are you rethinking having a baby because he doesn't let you have access to any of these things? I don't understand. So Bilal wants to teach her about finances. But he says, I want to teach her how to spend. I want to teach her how to save. But then whenever I do, then I'm mansplaining. So he doesn't say anything about it. Why do you have to teach her? She had her own independent life in Trinidad, had her own business, doing her own thing. Why do you have to teach her? You can let her know, hey, this is how I do things. And you can jump on board, or you can do your own thing, or we can, meet in the middle somewhere, but this is how I do things. Why does it have to be a teaching moment? And like Shaida says, he can never give her a straight answer. Everything has to be a lecture. Like when she asked him, what is the square foot of the house? And he tells her it's $1,200 per square foot, instead of just giving her the bottom line. Like, I don't understand why that would frustrate me. Shaida, girl, you are like no other. You are like no other. If you can put up with that kind of nonsense, because man, oh man, oh man, if that's the kind of husband that I had, if I'm asking him a very simple question, how much money do you make? And he tells me, well, I make, above average of the current income of St. Louis. If that's the kind of husband, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So then she talks about how cheap Bilal is. When they go to the movies, he doesn't even buy snacks. So they have to bring snacks. And I don't understand that. Like, if you can't, I understand. Okay, look, y'all, I know when you go to the movies, it's a grip. Okay, I get it. The prices have skyrocketed. The cost of this but y'all can't share a bucket of popcorn. I can understand, bringing in your own candy and stuff. A bucket of popcorn? I can't even share a bucket of popcorn. He's that cheap. He's that damn cheap. And I know it's the principle of it. It's not like he can't afford it. It's the principle of it. But whatever. Girl, that's your husband. That's your life. And, you do your thing. So then the friends come out. His friend Chris comes out and her friend Utris comes out. Now, Chris, I don't know. I don't know what Kevin Samuel's video he was watching before they turned the cameras on him, but he was all Kevin Samuel'd up. Okay, his homeboy Chris. He turned this whole thing into, it's an attack on men, and I'm here to defend all men, and men are being attacked. What the hell are you talking about, Chris? Because the marriage that your homeboy is in, he holds all the strings. He has complete control of Shaida in that marriage. He's the one giving her money on allowance day. So where does Chris get that we're all attacking men? Because I didn't understand why he was all Kevin Samuel'd up. Okay, he must have watched about 20 Kevin Samuel videos before they turned that camera on him, because he was so anti-woman and pro-man, and I didn't understand where it was coming from, because it's not like that with Bilal and Shaida. Bilal controls everything. They dragged Utris. They completely dragged her. Everybody on that damn stage dragged her when they showed the clip of her telling Shaida that she should get pregnant. She should secretly get pregnant without telling Bilal. So that she came out looking really bad for that. Everybody dragged her for that. And then Bilal gets on one knee and he pulls out a onesie and he asks Shaida to go ahead and have a baby with him. And of course, Shaida was going to say yes, even though she had her reasons for waiting and postponing it. But she went ahead and she said yes, which she should have, because she's running out of time. But she went ahead and said yes. And word on the curb is that Shaida could possibly already be pregnant. If you go to screenrant.com, I think there's some articles there that there's a possibility she may be pregnant, because people are speculating that in her videos, I guess her Instagram videos or her TikToks or something, she's, wearing very loose clothing and she's not showing her stomach, when normally she would show shots of her from head to toe, but now she's only showing shots of her from like the chest up or whatever. And whenever her stomach is in the frame, it's all covered up. So the word on the curb is that she might be pregnant. Moving on to Jenny and Submit. So they show the clip of Submit telling his family that he wants to have children and he wants to adopt and all this and that. And so they asked Jenny, what do you think about that? And Jenny goes, he's just telling his family what they want to hear. And then Sean says, well, maybe he's telling you what you want to hear. Go ahead, Sean. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Submit says that when he said that to his family, he was just talking. He didn't mean it. Submit is so full of it. Submit is a born liar. He's a born liar, lying about his identity, catfishing Jenny, lying about being married. He is a born liar. He cannot help himself. The truth is not in Sumit. So why are you even having this conversation with your family about adopting a kid or having a surrogate or whatever the hell was going on when you have no intentions of having a kid and you don't even want children? What was the point of that? So why would you put all this hope in your poor aunt, making her think that you want to have children when you really don't? What's the point of it? You're just lying for no reason. And Jenny, this is attractive to you? You find this attractive? So Sumit says that he's not telling things to Jenny, he's not telling Jenny things that she just wants to hear. Sumit says that he doesn't want kids. Okay, we all know that. And the family comes out. The bottom line, I don't want to spend too much time on Sumit and Jenny because I've been talking about Sumit and Jenny for, 3, 4, 5 years. I'm sick and tired of it. So the family comes out. The father says that he's going to go ahead and accept Jenny as his daughter-in-law. The brother and the sister-in-law, they already accept Jenny. The only one who's holding out is the mother. The mom didn't even bother coming to the reunion because she don't see it for Jenny and Sumit, period. So then they asked the question, so when y'all go out to family events, will Jenny be invited? And they said no. We're still not going to invite Jenny because the mother is the one that does all that planning for the outings and the events and the parties and the celebrations and all of that. So the mom is still at that point where she does not want to accept Jenny. So Jenny will not be invited. So then they asked Sumit, are you still going to go without your wife? And Sumit was like, yes. Yeah, I'll go with that, Jenny. So then they asked Jenny, are you in the process of applying for his visa? Jenny said no, because we still have to talk about it. They asked Sumit, do you want to come to the U.S.? He says only to visit. I have no intentions of living in the U.S. I just want to visit. Y'all, get rid of Jenny and Sumit. We are done with them. There's nothing left to say. There has been nothing left to say about Sumit and Jenny for the past 3 years. It's over with. They're married. They're going to stay married. The parents are either going to take it or leave it. There's nothing left to say. They're not going to have babies. We don't need to see them on no happily ever after. There's no purpose of us watching Sumit and Jenny. There's nothing going on with them. I cannot take another season of, but my parents. I can't do it. I can't do it. The father has accepted Jenny. That's good enough for me. It's good enough for Jenny. There's no more conflict. Let them live happily ever after in the true sense of the words. I don't want to see Jenny and Sumit anymore. It's done. It's over with. Let them just prosper in India. They don't have to come back on this show ever again. Unless they're going to move to America, then yes, then I do want to watch because I want to see how Sumit acclimates to American life. So then after that, we get a break from Sumit and Jenny, and we're back on Michael's Instagram. So Sean asked Jovi, I heard that you were trying to find his Instagram. So what was the result of that? Jovi says that he did find an Instagram account and it looked like it was Michael's. But Angela said, I saw it. It's not Michael's because of the wording. Michael doesn't talk like that. Because, when you've been married to somebody, blah, 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 you know how they talk, and that's not Michael. Okay, fine. Then they take a break. Angela calls Michael on the phone and she threatens him about hanging out with Usman because there was some talk on stage about how she does not want her husband to hang out with Usman. And Usman has said something about, I don't understand why Angela, feels this way about me because I've never done or said anything about her. The first time that we met, I said, hi, Angela. And she said, shut up, scammer. So I don't know what problems that she has with me. But Angela was like, I don't want Michael and Usman hanging out. I don't know if they're in the same hotel, the same studio. I don't know what the hell's going on. So she gets on the phone when they're done for the day. She gets on the phone. She calls Michael and she tells Michael, I don't want you hanging out with Usman or else, she threatens him. So then as soon as he gets off the phone with her, what does he do? He goes straight to Usman. And there's a whole part 4, y'all. There's a whole part 4. One more thing that I want to mention. Ed and Liz had a lot to say about other people's relationships. They're putting in their thoughts and opinions on everybody's relationship when their own is completely in the toilet. And that really aggravated the hell out of me. They should have turned off their mics because I don't want to hear nothing that Ed and Liz have to say. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, do not forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please go ahead and subscribe and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.